All right, in this explainer, we are diving deep into a really powerful and kind of spooky form of influence, nonverbal manipulation. You could think of it as a power game that's played completely without words. And today, we're going to learn the rules so you can see it coming. You walked away from a conversation feeling inexplicably small, submissive, and guilty. Why? No one said a harsh word. This is the dark psychological paradox of nonverbal manipulation, a hidden language that secretly influences you by bypassing your critical mind. You know that feeling, right? That unsettling sense that you can't quite put your finger on, where you feel diminished but there was no actual insult. Well, this is where the real power game is being played. It's not in what's said, but in what is silently and very strategically communicated. So, how are we going to unpack all of this? Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the invisible influence these cues have. Then, we're going to dissect the anatomy of a silence attack to see the tactics up close. After that, we'll uncover the engine behind it all, the contradiction mechanism. Then we'll get into the psychology of power at play, and most importantly, we'll talk about how you can reclaim control. And finally, we'll learn how to break the silent spell for good.
Okay, let's start with the core problem, the invisible influence. This is all about that strange, unsettling conflict between the words you hear and the emotional reality you feel. You know, it's a conversation where everything on the surface seems totally fine, but you walk away feeling drained or off balance or even questioning your own sanity. I mean, really think about it. Have you ever had one of those talks where the words were polite, maybe even friendly, but the feeling left behind was just anxiety or confusion? Well, that feeling is not an accident. It's actually the first clue that a whole other conversation is happening right under the surface, one that's targeting your subconscious mind. That gap between what's said and what's felt, that's the battlefield.
So how exactly does this silent attack work? Let's get into the anatomy of it. Because this isn't just about random, clumsy gestures. Oh no, this is a strategic use of nonverbal cues, designed to establish dominance and control the entire emotional tone of an interaction. And the real kicker? It's all done without leaving a shred of evidence. Let's put a clear definition on this. Nonverbal manipulation is the strategic use of body language, tone, and even personal space to influence your emotions and behavior, all without ever giving a direct order. Just think about that for a second. It's the art of making you feel small or insecure so that you end up changing your own behavior to try and please them. It's a form of control that just walks right past your logical brain. And why is it so ridiculously effective? Well, look at this number. Research suggests that up to 65% of the meaning in any conversation we have doesn't come from the words at all. It comes from nonverbal signals. Our brains are literally hardwired to process this stuff subconsciously. And a manipulator knows this. They're basically sending a message straight to your gut, completely bypassing your critical thinking mind. So what does this look like in the wild? Well, here's some of the classic tools in the manipulator's toolkit. You've got an expansive posture, someone physically taking up more space to communicate dominance. A slow, deliberate way of talking that forces you to wait on their words. That prolonged stare that just feels a little too long, like a challenge. And then you have the really subtle weapons. That dismissive little shrug that says your point is worthless. The impatient sigh that says you're boring me. Or that condescending tone that just drips with superiority. And this gets to the absolute heart of why they use these tactics. Plausible deniability. I mean, how do you call someone out for a sigh or for the way they looked at you for a split second? If you try, you know what they'll say. What are you talking about? I just sighed. Or the all-time classic, you're being way too sensitive. These signals are chosen precisely because they are subtle and almost impossible to prove, leaving you feeling like you're the one who's going crazy. Now we get to the engine that makes this entire thing run. This is the contradiction mechanism. It's the core psychological trick that weaponizes the conflict between what is said and what is shown, all to force you into emotional submission. This is how the magic trick is actually done. Okay, let's use a classic example. The verbal message is totally positive. Someone says, "Oh, I'm so happy for you." But their nonverbal signals are telling a completely different story. The smile is tight, it doesn't reach their eyes, they glance away quickly, maybe their arms are crossed. Right there, your brain has just received two completely contradictory messages. The words say I support you, but the body is screaming envy or dismissal or even anger. And here is the absolute key to this whole thing. When your brain is faced with that conflict, it doesn't give both signals equal weight. It has an ancient, hardwired survival instinct to trust the nonverbal signal over the words. The body is always seen as the more honest communicator. So your brain basically throws the "I'm happy for you" in the trash and fully accepts the unspoken negative message. And this isn't a choice you make. It happens in an instant, totally subconsciously.
So this whole process plays out in a very deliberate two-phase cycle. Phase 1 is incongruence. That's the moment they send those mixed signals. Your immediate reaction isn't anger, it's confusion and insecurity. You start thinking, wait, did I hear that right? Am I misreading this? That confusion is the perfect setup for what comes next, and that's phase 2, emotional contagion. In that state of uncertainty, you suddenly become super susceptible to internalizing the emotion they are projecting at you. If they project dominance, you start to feel submissive. If they project irritation, you start to feel guilty. You literally catch their emotion, and then your own body language, maybe you look down or slump your shoulders, confirms their dominance. The loop is complete.
So that brings us to the psychology behind this silent game of control. I mean, why do people do this? And why are we so vulnerable to it? Understanding the motivations on both sides of the table is absolutely key to breaking the cycle.
Let's break down the two sides of this coin. On one side, you've got the manipulator. Their motivation? It's all about securing unspoken power. They want control without having a direct conflict, so they use these dominant signals to tap into our ancient instinctual social hierarchies. Your submission is basically their reward. And then you've got the target. The motivation here is just as primal. It's social adjustment. We're wired to notice and respond to power cues, to keep the peace and avoid conflict.
And here's where this fascinating psychological principle called self-perception theory kicks in. Your brain's internal logic starts to sound a lot like this quote. Because their cues made you feel nervous and submissive, your brain works backward to justify that feeling. It concludes, well, I feel this way, so this person must be superior, which means my submission is the correct response. You see? You don't decide to comply, your brain infers that you should, all based on the emotion you were manipulated into feeling. It is a terrifyingly effective way to make someone doubt their own worth.
Okay, so we have analyzed the attack from every angle. Now, for the good part. Let's shift to empowerment. How do you actually defend against this? Well, it all comes down to turning that subconscious feeling into conscious, deliberate action. Let's walk through the 3 steps to reclaim your control. Here it is, your personal defense toolkit. It's 3 simple, powerful steps. Number 1, grounded observation. Number 2, fact-check the incongruence. And number 3, adopt power postures. Let's break down exactly what that means. Step 1, grounded observation, is your most critical first move. It's so simple. Instead of just feeling that wave of weird emotion, you consciously narrate the action to yourself. In your head, you just say, I notice his arms are crossed, or I notice she is sighing again. That simple act of observing and naming the behavior yanks the manipulation out of the shadows of your subconscious and into your conscious mind. And that act alone immediately starts to break its power over you. Okay, step 2 is fact-checking the incongruences. This is where you bravely force the interaction back into the world of words, where people can be held accountable. You do it neutrally, calmly. You say something like, you said you agree, but I noticed you were shaking your head. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. See? It reestablishes words as the basis for reality, and their plausible deniability just poof, vanishes. And while you're doing this, you can bring in step 3, adopt a power posture, because nonverbal cues work both ways. By consciously pulling your shoulders back, holding your head up, making eye contact, you send a powerful signal not just to them, but to your own brain, building up your internal resilience and short-circuiting that submissive feedback loop they're trying to create.
So let's bring all this home. Let's talk about breaking the silence spell for good. Because understanding the mechanism is one thing, but really internalizing the final takeaway, that's what gives you the power to reclaim your perception for the rest of your life. Let's just recap the whole pattern one last time. First, it all starts with incongruence. And remember, this isn't just someone with bad body language. This is a weaponized contradiction between nice words and hostile nonverbal signals. That conflict is the tip of the spear, designed to create confusion and start influencing your emotional state before you're even aware of it.
And that incongruence leads directly to emotional contagion. The confusion it creates makes you vulnerable. It basically forces your subconscious to give up, and you start absorbing the manipulator's projected emotion, their dominance, their irritation, and suddenly you feel submissive or guilty for no logical reason at all. But, and this is the best part, the entire spell is broken with awareness. This is where you take back all the control. By consciously using grounded observation to spot what they're doing and then fact-checking to challenge it, you completely disrupt their game. You shift from being a passive victim of their emotional broadcast to an active, conscious observer of their behavior.
And that really is the ultimate lesson here. This silent language of control feels so powerful because it's designed to target our deepest, oldest instincts. But at the end of the day, it's just a game, and you can always choose not to play. You break the silent spell the very moment you choose to trust your own mind, your own observations, and your own feelings over the subtle, silent games they want you to play. That is how you reclaim your power. That is how you reclaim control.